Joined now by an old friend, ESPN hockey analyst and
closer to
Vancouver
home.
Canucks
Yes.
hockey analyst on Rogers Sportsnet, Ray Ferraro. How you doing?
I'm well. I'm back home for a couple days and off to Chicago for go watch Connor Bedard make the NHL look like a junior league again. I just can you guys believe that? Like
the last few games especially. Oh my goodness.
Amazing to watch. Good for him. He's a terrific kid, man.
How's the new gig?
It's been 2 games, so tough for it to go south yet. We've it's great fun. Like honestly, like to work with Shorty and Murph. They're really good friends, and it's so fun. And so here are 2 things I think that really struck me doing the games this week is, I've been listening to Shorty since I moved to Vancouver, right? It's 20 years. And to work and to listen are 2 different things.
And you've never done a game with him, right?
We did, I think, 1 or 2 3-man booths where Cheech and him were upstairs. Oh, okay. Remember the old pay-per-view?
Yes, right. Okay.
I mean, so that was like, that doesn't even really count. But no. So doing these games, I'm like, Shorty's so good. He's just good. He's just, to listen to him is one thing, but like, he's got all this, like historical knowledge that he can pull up at any time. He's funny. His call is so good. So that's the first thing. It's just like, it was really easy to step in, even though we'd never done a game. And then when I first started, Greg Shannon was my producer half the time in Edmonton. And so 20 years later, same voice is in my ear. And it was just really easy to do and really fun. I liked it. I enjoyed it way more, guys, than I even anticipated.
It sounded easy.
Has the AGM had to correct you on anything just yet?
Not yet. I'm all on board so far. No, it's I've told you guys before, you'd be surprised how little discussion there is. Certainly it's happier discussion these days, but like there's I don't pretend to tell her about her job, and she doesn't often tell me about mine. That's, so that's pretty good. That works pretty good.
Probably nice to get a break too from talking about that. You guys do it all day long.
We talk about who's picking up who at what park or what field at what time, and the race is on.
What do you make of this start? You've got 2 games, and they were both Casey DeSmith games, incidentally. So you still haven't seen Thatcher Demko up close and personal. But I mean, I think everybody thought this team was headed in the right direction, Ray, but not to this extent. And there are a lot of caveats, there's a lot of asterisks and explanations for how they've got to 11-3-1. But the points are there, and they don't give them back. And that's the good news for Canuck fans, no matter what happens from here. But could you even have imagined that there'd be an 11-3-1 stretch at any point this season?
Well, at any point, maybe, teams get hot, right? But out of the gate, I look at Vegas and Boston, and did anyone think Boston was going to be 11-1?
Not quite.
Not a chance. Even though they're very good, you're like, oh, they lost their 2 best centers, and Taylor Hall's gone. They lost some cap stuff. And I mean, you never really expect this. But I think there's a couple of things that really have impressed me the most. And it starts with Rick Tocchet. So the management puts a team together, then it goes to the coach, and the coach does with it whatever he can. But his predictability, or rather his consistency day to day. Now, we don't see what he does in the locker room, but every day his message is kind of the same. It's the same thing. It's predictable. The players will tell you they don't listen to it out in the public. Nobody has social media, but everybody seems to know. He's very, very consistent. And what the consistency brings is a predictability for what the players can expect. And so when things go sideways, I'm most impressed that they don't blow up, that the game isn't just gone. Now, sometimes it's the goalie. Sometimes it's locking things back to a a portion of the game where you got to survive, because that happens lots of times, right? For every team like this, oh, we got to play a 60-minute game. That's a fallacy. That doesn't happen. The other team tries really hard too. And so there might be 10 or 12 minutes where you're just hanging on. They don't give the game away. And so I think that's the stuff I'm most impressed with. The play of individual guys is, it speaks for itself, whether, it's Boeser, and Hughes and Pettersson and Miller. And now they're starting to get some goals from the bottom end of the lineup. And, their goalies have been terrific. Like, it's straight across the board. It's been as great a start as you could ask for.
What do you make of the superstars getting better? I mean, how hard is that when you've already reached, 8 out of 10 status in the NHL, and to crank it up one more notch for Hughes and Pettersson like they have? And actually, I mean, we could make the argument Pettersson hasn't even cranked it up a notch. The points are just there, because it still seems like he could go even better than he's going. But Quinn Hughes most certainly has found a new level.
So I'm going to compare this to when Sidney Crosby was a rookie. He was predictably very poor in the face-off circle. And he went away in the summer and worked extensively on his face-offs, because he realized, like, oh, what I was doing isn't going to work. So he went away and he worked on it. And I don't think since that time he's been under 50% on the draw. So Quinn Hughes goes away this summer, and he talks about how he's worked on his shot, but worked on connecting his hands and his feet. And so once he makes that, where he loses the forward, like, it's like he drops, quicksand behind him and the forward gets stuck and he just keeps going. But how quickly he now shoots the puck and how often he looks for it. It's like he decided, this is the next layer of my game. And like, for example, I would often think there's another layer to my game. I just couldn't get there. Like, as hard as you work, it just wasn't there. He said, and because it's his interviews, right, that he talks about, he wanted to be more of a danger, more of a threat, more of an option with the shot. And then he went and made it happen. Like the other night in Montreal, it was all 3 games really on the trip, but Montreal in particular, I noticed, like, he was coming off of that little top seam and it's shot every time. Before, it seemed like it was pass first and, oh, now I've got to shoot it. And so that's where his game has gone to me. Like, that's the next stage of it. I'm with you on Pettersson to the point that he's got so many layers to his game, and the points are here right now. And, Talk had said, I think in, where were they? Maybe in Toronto, that he's got a couple of things he's working through. I think that was the day he said it. And that's probably the case, but he's just so good that you can play with 80% of a toolbox or whatever number you want to put on it. And I mean, their power play's great. So there's going to be points there. There's the fact they can match up centers and not have to use their third line as their matchup guys means their big boys can be on the ice all the time. I mean, that's a great luxury. A lot of teams don't have that.
And Hughes has talked about that for a couple of years now in training camp. People have asked him about being more of a scoring threat, but this year he's absolutely put it in practice. It's very evident. I mean, I'm sure you saw that stat last week of he has possessed the puck something like 8 or 9 minutes more than any other player in the NHL, which is just staggering.
Miles. Yeah. It's miles away. Like it sometimes I laugh, like when you see a offensive zone possession after a period of a team, and it feels like team A has got the puck the whole time in the offensive zone, and they have like 48 seconds more. Like, it's not very much.
Right.
But 48, just think of 48 straight seconds of the puck being in the offensive zone. And you go, oh, that's a lot.
Yeah. Never mind being on your stick in possession of your, like a person.
Yeah, it's not just slapping around the boards, right? No. It's like, like his numbers are off the charts. Really almost across the board.
a lot of Canucks fans, a lot of our listeners will identify Filip Hronek as one of the big reasons behind this turnaround. Ray, I'd like your 2 cents on his game. The fact that he's with Hughes, and of course, the big question going forward is going to be, if you're going to pay him what this season is going to, going to have to pay him.
Yeah.
Do you need to see him anchoring his own pair?
Oh, no, absolutely not. And the reason I say that is, like, for example, I made the comparison, I guess it would have been the Ottawa game, that Hronek and Hughes are, in a sense, part of the new way that the game is played. Colorado has Devon Taves and Cale Makar. That's a $15 million defense pair. They don't play on separate pairs. And the reason they don't is because you don't need a big clunker to play with a skilled defenseman anymore. That was the way it always was. Defensive, stay at home with a puck mover. What about if you got 2 puck movers together? Now, you need another pair to be able to play, and hold minutes while they're not out there. So that's why I say I think I've evolved in my thought of that, is that, and the Colorado pair is the one that really changed the deal for me, is that they're unique. And if you have unique players, why take away half of what they do by giving them a partner that can't pass a puck? Like, Hughes and Hronek don't get scored on because they're never in their end. They get the puck and it's one pass and it's out of the zone. Like, Hronek plays in my opinion, a real simple game. Like, he gets the puck, he gets his head up the ice, and it's one pass generally, and they're gone. And so it's not a complicated way to play. Like, I'll say Quinn plays a complicated game because he's got the puck on his stick a lot, and he's weaves his way out of the zone by himself. He's more of a transporter than Hronek is. Hronek's just to get it, move it, gone. And but for any of these players, like, man, you got to pay your best, man. It's like you're going to squeeze the margins elsewhere, but everybody's all excited about this $4 million of cap room for all these teams. And well, in a lot of cases, you get to keep the same team.
It's already spent.
Yes,
it's already spent. It's like, the 2 big Canadian markets we talk about are Toronto and Vancouver. And, I don't know what you guys think William Nylander is going to cost, but
oh boy,
there goes a lot of their cap room, right? Like, hey, great, we got $4 million in cap room. Oh, here you go, William.
Rick hasn't taxed those defensemen to like Drew Doughty like levels. Are you against?
Well, that's the big question, right?
Are you against a 27-minute night for Hughes and Hronek? To me, especially when the going gets tough in March, like, if they're in a fight there, you do it. You just, because you just need to get across the finish line. You don't need to do it now, so they're not doing it now. But would you ultimately be against regular 27-minute nights like they used to do with Doughty?
Yeah. I don't love it. I just think the potential for wear and tear and what that means for a defenseman in particular is you get hit a few more times because you're tired, you're not as elusive. What if one of those extra hits is the one that puts you on the shelf?
Yeah.
So the Canucks right now, I think they got 10 games in the next 18 days. And if you're relying on those 2 to play 25, 6, 7 minutes a night for the next 18 days, you're going to wear them down fast. Mm-hmm. And I think the goal is always to keep their minutes snug, but there's probably going to be some nights where they're going to have big minute nights.
Canucks have avoided some soap operas here with this start as well. And it's quite joyful for Canucks fans, I think, to look around the division and see Rome burning on several fronts. The division has made this start even better, hasn't it? Because the usual characters, Alberta in particular, and even Winnipeg, in terms of playoff spot, not in terms of their division, but they're just not there. Like this, the Red Sea has parted for them in a lot of ways to get to the playoffs.
There's so much that has to go right all the time for teams, and I think a lot of times when another team is rolling along, because it's not right in our face, we don't notice all the things that have gone well for them at that time. Like Boston, for example, got off to a great start. And Jim Montgomery says constantly, yeah, we had an easy schedule or an easier schedule, lots of days off among the games, and our goaltending has been phenomenal. And so they put together some other people's struggles that came right on their plate, and they took advantage of them. So the Canucks could have the same schedule and not win, and it wouldn't matter what all these other guys are doing. The fact that they've put these points in the bag already, man, that makes the rest of the year breathable, because you are going to have a 1 win in 5 game stretch somewhere. Otherwise you set a new points record every year, right? Like it's going to happen for Vegas is going to run into some tough times. Boston's going to run into some tough times. You don't play 82 games unless you're last year's Bruins team without it. So like what's happened in Alberta, more predictable maybe in Calgary, but not to the extent where they're now looking to it appears to just completely tear it down and move those free agent D, which are, I mean, those are big pieces for them.
That Montgomery quote that you talked about, that kind of describes the Canucks. Yeah. I mean, they've had a favorable schedule. They've had some days off and all that sort of, but you don't apologize for getting those wins.
No. And sustainability, of course, is what you're looking for from this point forward. And if you're the defending Stanley Cup champions, you probably feel pretty good about your ability to sustain, whereas the Vancouver Canucks probably feel like this is a challenge they have not yet met.
That's right. Yeah.
As a team and organization. Ray, I'm not sure in all the conversations we've had on this show that a player has featured more than Brock Boeser. Because in the early days, it was like, look at this kid. He could be a salvation. He's a better two-way player. What a goal scorer. And then, of course, in the later years, it was more about what he's not doing. What have you made of Boeser's turnaround this year?
To me, it's always been the same. And maybe you guys will remember, but this is my view on Boeser. He doesn't need to be a great skater. He needs to get 1 to 2 feet away from his defender. From the guy checking him, he needs 2 feet to make the play, because everybody needs 2 feet. And when he struggled, he does not separate. When I think he skates better now than I remember him in the last couple of years, certainly. Like he's never going to be an up on your toes, explosive, fast guy, but he's a little more agile. He's a little quicker. He's a little more tenacious, which probably helps that he feels better on the ice. And I think that's the biggest difference. I mean, he's gotten some bounces. Anybody that has a good year gets bounces. It just is. Like Chris Kreider scored 52 goals a couple of years ago. Any rebound that was within 3 feet of him, not only did he get it, he scored. Like that, it just doesn't happen all the time. So when I look at Boeser, it's like he just seems like he's fresher, faster, quicker. And without getting into time away from the loss of his dad, but I went through that in my career. It is, you have a hole, like he has talked very openly about how close he is and close he was with his dad. That's what my dad was for me. And what I learned was the hole that's there, you never fill it in. You just learn a little better about how to walk around it. And I wouldn't be qualified to speak on his behalf for that, but I know that's what it was for me. And everything kind of settles a little bit, and you learn what your new reality is. He looks terrific. He really does.
Finally, let's preview the Islanders if we can.
I was going to ask him one more question,
Okay, sure.
just because we asked this of Corrado last week. I thought he gave a fantastic answer, and Ray, like Frankie, can explain to you the X's and O's of the game. But there was a while there, Ray, where we all thought JT Miller is a fantastic winger and he's a good centerman, but the 200-foot, and I know you hate that term, but the 200-foot responsibilities at center ice weren't necessarily his jam. What do you make of Miller at center these days?
Well, Ken Hitchcock, who just went in the Hall of Fame, said one of the best things a coach can be is a salesman. And basically, you're selling your idea to the player where he thinks it's a really good idea. And so, you know, if you're the idea you're selling to your team, if they think it's ludicrous, you're not a very good coach because the results are going to be very predictable. Somewhere in the Rick Tocchet early days, he clearly identified, you know, through management that this is, and his contract, this is a very significant player for us. We got to find a way to reach him. And it was pretty obvious when they decided to sign him that he was going to be a part of the long-term future of this team. So now you've got to get him to do as much as you think he's able to do. And sometimes the player, any player, will not think of it. You know, like Al Arbor pushed me into places that in parts of the game that I didn't even really know were there. And I think they've connected to a point where JT Miller sees his impact on this team. And he sees it in an important manner. Like to be, it's great as a winger, to be a passing winger. To do what he's doing now is impactful in so many places on the ice. Like he is a monster for them. He's had a monster first quarter of the season. And whether it's his face-offs, his penalty killing, his matchup game, like he'd be brutal to play against as another center because he's a little mean. He gets angry. He is skilled. He can skate. Like he'd be hard to play against. And of course the points are just like another extension of all of it.
I don't think I always believe good offense comes from good defense. You know, that's coach speak. It actually seems to be working for JT Miller right now. Finally, Bo Horvat coming back to town. And it's different when you're like a longtime player for an organization. You come back as a shadow of yourself with a different organization, just kind of the swan song. Like Kessler coming back wasn't the same because Kessler wasn't the same when he came in as a visitor. But Horvat's still in the prime of his career. You did this. You got traded in the prime of your career. What do you think Bo Horvat's thinking as he comes into town and sees his old team excelling, and he's back with a Canuck-like performance with the Islanders, and they're kind of in the middle, and they're going to have to be scrapping.
If he's anything like me, he wants to score badly. Oh, I wanted to score. I did too. It was great.
I did in your first game against the Hartford Whalers, or no?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Sean Burke. It's so weird though. Like when Bo comes into the rink tomorrow for morning skate, he comes in the bus and they go down the ramp and you come in the back door and he probably hasn't been in that hallway 15 times in all his years here. Like, and then you go to the bench and everything, of course, is flipped. Like nothing looks the same. And it's the oddest circumstance. And he'll want to play well. He'll want to win. It will all feel just a little off for him. Like he'll be comfortable, right? In the city, of course, it's a place where he grew up, but as a player, but it will be different. It is a strange day for sure.
Will he try to do too much? Is there that risk when you're in these situations, or he's a guy that generally plays within himself, but there might be enough motivation here.
Yeah, I think it's possible there'll be times where he tries to make a rush that isn't there. Barzell's coming back home too. He likes the puck a lot. Like there's the potential for both of them to either be great or to try too much, right? And I think after a shift or two, you kind of settle in and you just play, but it will not, like when the day's over tomorrow, when he gets back on the bus, I don't know if the Islanders are leaving after the game tomorrow, he'll be exhausted.
Yeah.
There'll be so much extra energy spent in the day. He'll be exhausted.
Thanks, Ray. Good to catch up.
I
was catching my voice there. I'm fighting a horrible cold, so I just want to
well,
make sure I
I
can
would
get
say you're
something
not
out
the
there.
only one. You're not the only one around here with those. I mean, seems to be everywhere. But good to talk to you again, and we will be in touch, I'm sure.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it. This Sekeres and Price clip brought to you by Applewood Auto Group. And remember,
it's all good at Applewood.